July 14, 2024, stands as a pivotal and highly volatile day in Bangladesh, a day that amplified the burgeoning quota reform movement into a full-scale student people's uprising, ultimately dubbed the July Revolution. The events of this day were a critical turning point, leading to widespread unrest that irrevocably changed the political landscape of the nation. Political and social unrest, a boiling point, had been steadily gaining momentum since early July. By July 14th, the demands had solidified, and the protests had taken on a new intensity. The quota reform movement, initially a student-led protest against the controversial government job quota system, which reserved 30% of jobs for descendants of 1971 Liberation War fighters, and was reinstated by a high court ruling in June 2024. The situation dramatically escalated when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina made highly controversial remarks about the anti-quota. Her comments, widely perceived as dismissive and insulting, inflamed public anger. Specifically, her implied characterization of the protesters as Razakars was a major catalyst. The government's heavy-handed response, including the deployment of police, Rapid Action Battalion, and Border Guard Bangladesh, along with the use of firearms and sharp weapons against demonstrators, further fueled public anger. This day marked the beginning of a period of severe repression, mass arrests, and significant casualties. While official figures varied, later reports from organizations like the United Nations and Amnesty International indicated a death toll in the hundreds. Escalation of protests and Prime Minister's remarks. On this day, students formally submitted a memorandum to the president, calling for an emergency parliament session to address their demands for quota reform. Late on July 14th, students at Dhaka University erupted in spontaneous demonstrations. They began chanting slogans like Ched Galamot, Hoy Galam Razak, using the offensive term, ironically, to express their outrage and reclaim their dignity. This defiance spread rapidly. There were widespread reports of clashes between law enforcement agencies, members of the ruling party's student wing, and student protection. At universities like Rajshahi University and Dhaka University, students actively took steps against Chhatra League members, even physically removing them from dormitories and campuses. Some universities declared themselves Chhatra League free zones. Clashes and Razakar slogans. In immediate response to the Prime Minister's words, protests intensified across the country, precursor to larger events and casualties. July 14th was the crucial tipping point that propelled the protests into a broader mass uprising. Some divisions were expected to experience moderately heavy to heavy rainfall. The previous 24 hours saw 51 millimeters of rainfall recorded at This highlights the country's ongoing vulnerability to a range of extreme weather events, which can compound social and economic challenges. It represented the culmination of simmering discontent that exploded into a national crisis, fueled by official missteps and a population demanding significant change, all against a backdrop of a struggling economy and the typical monsoon weather. Economic situation under immense pressure. The escalating political and social unrest in July 2024 placed immense strain on Bangladesh's economy, which was already facing pre-existing challenges. Inflationary spike. The widespread disruptions caused by the protests, including blockades and supply chain interruptions, led to a significant increase in food prices. This contributed to a record-high food inflation of 14.1% in July 2024. The overall general inflation rate for July climbed to an 12-year high of 11.66%, primarily driven by rising food and fuel costs and the depreciation of the Bangladeshi taka. Declining reserves and challenging outlook. The country's gross foreign exchange reserves continued their downward trend in July 2024, and remittance inflows hit a 10-month low. Bangladesh's economy was already grappling with balance of payment and budget deficits, declining foreign exchange reserves, and vulnerabilities within the banking sector. The political instability exacerbated these issues, creating an uncharted territory for the economy. The protests also raised concerns among foreign investors, potentially diverting investments away from Bangladesh. Whether monsoon seasons embrace July is typically the peak of the monsoon season in Bangladesh, making it the wettest month of the year. Rainfall forecasts. On July 14, 2024, the Bangladesh Meteorological Department had forecasted light to moderate rain or thunder showers across the country. Broader context of extreme weather. While rain was the norm for July, it's worth noting that Bangladesh had experienced a severe heat wave earlier in 2024, leading to school closures. In essence, July 14th was a highly charged and pivotal moment in Bangladesh's recent history.